Nikki and Justin Igor finally get it in, and it falls short. Nikki just can't get any satisfaction these days. But let's start at the beginning. Hi guys, welcome to Nikki Faces Reality. I'm Nikki. We will be covering 90 Day Fiancé, specifically Nikki and Justin Igor. But before we continue, please do like this video. Please do subscribe. Join the party. I cover all things reality TV, and we'll start posting about pop culture things. And let me know your comments about this couple as we go along in the comments, because I need to hear what you think about the craziness that we just saw. Let's get into it. So, we catch up with the lovebirds post dinner where they were tipsy, and we saw him getting a little bit affectionate, and things were getting a little hot. Well, guys, they got it in. We catch up with them in bed. He's all like, "You liked last night?" And she's like, "Yeah." And y'all, they got it in, but sounds like Justin Igor is a little bit of a selfish lover, and Nikki's not having it. It's clear that he's feeling really good about himself. He's like, I laid it down. They pan to Nikki, and she's like, it was interesting. She's like, our intimacy doesn't last very long, and Justin Igor is a bit of a taker. He's not, you know, doing things that she's doing to him, and she's like, what's the problem? She very much feels like he's not prioritizing her pleasure. He's just getting it in and getting out. And he's upset with her, basically telling the world that, which I completely understand. I feel like I wouldn't want my partner to out me like that on national television. But if he's going to be involved with her and they're going to be intimate, he should care about what she thinks about these things. In true Justin Igor fashion, he gets defensive and he's like, you should seek a professional sex person if I'm not good in sex. And I was like, do you mean she should get a sex worker? Then why are you here? Like, if you're her man, like, why are you... And she agrees. She's like, if you don't want to get into it with me in the ways that I need you to, we can just be friends. And, one thing about Nikki, I don't know how real it is, but she has given him plenty of openings to break up. Because she's like, these are the things that I want. And if you can't give it to me, that's okay, but I need them. And his stance on this is that, well, I'm not as experienced as you are. And here's the thing. I think that's bullshit, because Nikki has said it, that before he knew about her identity, they were having sex all the time. He couldn't keep his hands and mouth off her. So she's like, there's been a clear change, and you're not fully like being yourself, the man that I know you to be. I've mentioned this in a previous video about Nikki, that I don't think anyone should be forced into anything, but especially intimacy. And so that's number one. You want eager consent, right? But he keeps saying that he wants to be in this relationship, right? So he needs to show up. And while I don't think sex is everything, I do think that sex compatibility is important. It's not number one, but it's up there. And we would be naive to ignore that. Sometimes it feels like these two are trying to squeeze a square into a circle. Like, one of the ways that Justin Igor is proving to Nikki that this is the real thing for him is that he's gonna bring her to meet his friends. And Nikki feels special. She's like, okay, like, this is a step towards the right direction. Like, you're envisioning a future with me if you're like, taking that step. And so we finally see his friends, and I was very nervous about this meeting because Moldova is, a bit of a conservative place, and Nikki's a lot. Identity aside, it's just the way she emotes, the way she expresses her style, the way she speaks. It can be a lot, and I'm just like, are y'all ready for Hurricane Nikki? And so we see one-on-ones with his friends, particularly this woman, and she's like, I'm honestly surprised that he's letting us meet Nikki. Justin Igor is usually very Justin Igor is usually very private and he doesn't really, share that part of his life. So they were very curious with the added layer of Nikki being trans. Nikki is nervous and over talking and just being herself times 10. Justin Igor too seems a little loose. And I was like, okay, like maybe he is feeling comfortable. So I guess, they're sharing their origin story. They're talking really openly about her trans identity. And he's telling his friends that, he didn't know about her identity when they first were together. Didn't reconnect for another 15 years. This moment I thought was important, but I was scared. So Nikki shares with them that the reason she wasn't outwardly open with him about her identity is because when she first came out, it changed her life for worse. Her family disowned her basically. She was homeless and she had to do some things to survive. She said that she was a sex worker because that's the only way that she would be able to get food and have a roof over her head. She said that, I guess with the depression over her circumstance, she was on drugs and she just had a really rough life. And so after facing that rejection from people that were supposed to love her unconditionally, she led a stealth life. She just didn't share that with people, and that she does regret telling him the way that she did, because that in itself was traumatic to him. She just, threw that in the middle of the fight. And can you imagine thinking that you know someone thoroughly and you've been intimate and making big plans for your life, and then they drop a big reveal? Like, any secret of any magnitude, I think, would sting. And with the way masculinity is set up and the pressures of that, like, I can only imagine just the journey that he went through, and that is probably still going, because this is the first time that they're face to face since he knows. But when she shared that she used to be a prostitute and that she was on drugs, the men they're like so stoic. So I was like, oh, are they like about to like say some bad things? And then the woman was very expressive and she was like, oh, you did what? And my stomach dropped. I was like, uh-oh. But y'all, she was so empathetic. And she was like, I can only imagine like all the things that you went through. And I was like, okay. These people just have resting bitch faces, but like they're kind. Okay. It was just like, you could tell that there was a lot of curiosity, and it wasn't necessarily judgment, but it was curiosity and just like wanting to understand how this worldly woman ended up with this man from like a small place. They just wanted to like, they were just like exploring this reality that's in front of them. I think the most surprising thing out of all of this was Justin Igor's response. He was just so chill about her sharing these very intimate details. He was just like, I think that it's important for them to understand like where she comes from and like what led her to be who she is. I honestly was just so shocked because this man has been so like uptight, and he's at this dinner like being playful. He's like, really just like, this is my woman. And I'm like, who are you? This whole situation has me looking at them very differently, because I'm like, he's really like immersing Nikki with his life, and he is being so open, and I think that means something. And yeah, like he didn't like ask her to hide parts of herself at all. And I couldn't believe what we just saw. Like, I really thought with the preview that they showed us that this was going to go so sour, but I'm pleasantly surprised. And now, of course, they do the thing where like the men talk and then the women talk. And at one point, Nikki's like, I need to get the dirt on Justin Igor, so I'm gonna go get a drink. And then she takes the girlfriend and they go to the bar, and she's like, girl, spill. Do the men in this country not have sex? Do they not do the do on the women? And the girl's like, yeah, they do. And Nikki's like, because Justin won't touch me there. and he won't do things, and he used to do it a lot before. And ever since he found out about me, he just won't do it. You could tell the woman is like, this is a lot of information, but tell me more. And she's like, have you talked to him? And yeah, so basically, babes, talk to your man. But then we see the flip side of that, of Justin Igor with his guy friends, and they're like, so how has it been? And Justin Igor is over here gloating, being like, she's like a sex animal. And I'm like, oh, now she's a sex animal? You're not giving it to her enough, but you're like, yeah, I'm having a lot of sex. Sir, get the... And so, this opens the gates for them to ask more questions. So they're like, is she submissive? And Igor's just talking in circles. Basically, the point of it all is that they don't really have a traditional relationship. So those submissive, dominant things don't really apply. And then the friend is like, I don't want to be offensive, but does she have X, Y, and Z body part? Or does she have this? And it's an honest question. I get the curiosity. An invasive one, but an honest one. And Justin Igor tells them, she's like any other woman. When she's naked, she's like any other woman. But when we are having relations, the thought comes to me that I know the real thing, and that it basically takes him out of the moment. And that's why he's not performing to her liking. He wants to be so okay with something that he's not, and he just needs to be honest with himself that it's going to take him some time. And that's fine. But I think in him being in denial, it's going to keep affecting their relationship. I did like the moment where he thanks his friends for showing up for him, and they were like, yeah, we're always going to be by your side. And I know that is going to help him in his adjustment, because when he first found out and they got back together and he told some of his people, apparently he's been shunned by family, he's lost some friends, and so I'm sure that it felt really good to know that he does have people that support him and love him no matter who he chooses to love. I go back and forth with this couple. I'm just like, are y'all the real deal, or is this just a delusional setup? Next week, we're going to see them prepare for Nikki to finally meet Igor's mother. And he didn't try to make any changes while she was going to meet his friends. But they're going shopping, baby, because none of her wardrobe is good enough to meet Mama Igor. And I don't think Nikki's going to go down without a fight. I'm so excited to see the mess that will take place. I just know Nikki's going to say some wild things. And if you're going to be watching, please join me. Please do subscribe. I will definitely be posting about it. Please like this video. It'll help me a lot. It'll help more people see this and hopefully join us. And let me know what you think in the comments. Are you just as torn with this couple? What did you think about the crazy things that she shared? Not so much that they're crazy, but that they're so raw and vulnerable. Would you have shared that with your significant other's friends? Would you have shared that in the first meeting? I need to know. See you in the next one.